Rome. I complete this monologue of 1 hour showing you 5 basic similarities and maxims and points which we share with the old Roman civilization, which ceased to exist around 500 years after the Christ and imploded peacefully into what we know, this stupid Christianity. And actually we dying like old Rome, very peacefully and silently, but I believe more stupidly and embarrassingly than all Romans. So are you ready? First sign, let's say, I try to work it up I try to improvise. The first sign of our civilization similarity with all Rome's is that the politicians becoming just dead echoes of previous politicians. Let's say Romulus, the last emperor of Rome, was just a fucking puppet who was, who was certifying, or who was able to pursue his power, or who was able to run the Rome, and he heavily relied on army. Latest emperors of the Rome were just that echo of politicians, puppets and idiots who need army to get the order in civilization. Does it remind you something? Donald Trump, total weak idiot who needs law and order, police and army really to keep it, to keep it. Look at the European Union. It will get radicalized as well. Look at Ursula von der Leyen. She's just a dead echo of politicians. We don't need to even go to times like Caligula or this beautiful fucking rascal, right? Is drinking the opium with the wine, trying to fuck his mother like a Oedipus who ran out of the houses and getting his knee in the dirt, realized fucking his mother, and killing his father, asking his citizens, pouring around in the streets of Athens, please kill me, So, you see, but let's not get carried away with this beautiful theatric, piece, Oedipus, right? Like Freud used Oedipus and Electra syndrome from the Electra, but we don't want to go into. So politicians are just dead echoes. So I don't need to even go to Marcus Aurelius, poet, they call him poetical emperor. I don't need to even go 100 years before the fucking Romulus. When I'm metaphorizing it and analogizing it in European Union, I don't need to go from Romulus to Marcus Aurelius. I can go just from Ursula von der Leyen to Helmut Kohl. Helmut Kohl was a real politician, my friend. Helmut Kohl, until age of 40, this politician shut themselves in the massive, in the houses, in the apartments, there was a massive library in every apartment made out of the oak, and there were thousands of books, and they shut themselves in the age of 20, they studied at the university, and then after they finished their studies, they 15 years were shut in these libraries, and they were reading one paper book after another. After they become 40 and educated, they start to venture in politics and responsibly turn into the real great respectful politicians like Helmut Kohl, smoking 30 cigarettes per day, yet living until age of, I think, 85, right? Fuck the ban of smoking and everything. So Helmut Kohl or Mitterrand. Mitterrand was a great president. De Gaulle was a great French president. And look at this fucking joke Macron. Who is this TikTok fucking cartoon figure? Macron, yes I Macron, je m'appelle Macron. This guy seems to me like some Netflix fucking character. Who is this 40 years old fucking Oedipus heavily syndrome cunt who fucking 30 years old cougar, her fucking teacher, who is puppeting him into becoming a president? Shame on you, Mr. Macron. I would put you on the head razor, as the Robespierre used to call, yes, the English friends calling poetically guillotine head razor. I would put you on the guillotine, you motherfucking Macron. Joke, Robespierre he would put the boots and shovel it in the face of this cunt and clean the garbage from the slopes, which would they would be nothing than just the mashed cockroaches which you peel off from your boots. This is a politician, Macron? No, this is a politician, Ursula von der Leyen. Now who is this fucking cunt, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Bioke? Minister Bioke or Bioche, or how you phonetically write it? This stupid cunt was reading at the press conference and said, we will not negotiate with Putin until he will change his position 360 degrees. And the journalist, Schuldigen, how many degrees? How many degrees? 360? We will not talk to him until Putin change position 360 degrees. I don't know if she was a dialectic thinking person, Mr. Bioke, or she was dealing to quantum physics, quantum mechanics, where the neutrons leaving the core from the atom faster than they get there, or I don't know what she was referring to, but how is that possible? That the Minister of Foreign Affairs doesn't know that the half of the circle is 180 degrees. How comes the idiots first time in history becoming politicians? Think it over. Romulus was a weak emperor, but he was not a crystallic idiot. That's the difference between Romans and nowadays European Union. So, shall we? I just relaxed myself. Shall we? So, the first similarity between old Romans and the European Union is the weak, stupid politicians, you see, which are just that echo of their predecessors. Second similarity, which is very second maxim or factor, which we share with the falling Roman Empire, is that our power, economical power of old Rome was dependent on the slaves in the late 200, 300, 400 years. Before, they were not dependent on the power of the slaves. So it means that we, European Union or Europe or America, USA, is obviously dependent, forgive me this, I don't mean it like euphemism, but the slaves, the immigrants or people who we allow or bring, like old Romans, they bring the slaves in the empire and they give them some work. But then they got into the positions where they were not replaceable by Romans. And without slaves, they didn't have an economical positive power. You see, they were not in positive economical numbers, because if all these slaves would leave, the old Rome would bankrupt. Now, if all refugees and migrants who cleaning the toilets here, God bless for them, if they leave from Europe, the Europe will bankrupt. If all Venezuelans, Haitians, you hate there in USA, if they leave, you bankrupt, because you don't have the labor, the economical power. So the second factor is that without slaves, the economical power of the empire is not functioning, because you did this tremendous economical mistake. You become lazy and stupid. So you don't work, your citizens don't work like they used to work before. That's the second similarity with old Rome and Europe and, let's say, US. Even though the US is not the old Rome, I think it was something like small Asia, or it was some Celt fucking Great Britain, it was not a real old Rome, but yeah. So that's the second similarity. The third, I would say, is tremendous amount of bureaucracy. In old Rome, the bureaucracy everything becomes so difficult. And the laws, for example, in old Rome, the idiots gave a voting right to slaves on the end. Imagine. Yeah, slaves were able to vote in old Rome. And now, what are we doing? We're giving, we bureaucratics, you become a naturalized citizen and you can vote. Or you can, So the bureaucracy is incredible. In European Union, it's much easy to change your sex on paper and do the paperwork, then bring the spare parts of WBMV from the non-European countries to European ones. The bureaucracy in Germany, France, Spain, Holland, Belgium, Czech Republic is incredible. You see? So it's the third thing, the bureaucracy. I was in USA, in Florida, you need to fill so much forms before you build a house. The bureaucracy in USA, in the capitalistic country, in California, in Florida, in red state is incredible. The bureaucracy is killing. So that's the other thing, the bureaucracy. That was the third one. Fourth thing, let's say, fourth thing which we share with America, with old Rome, Euro-American civilization, is fourth thing is that we let other tribes and groups with different religion and cultural rules invade our countries peacefully, and we let them practice different religion and cultural rules and paradigm of their civilizations. In old Rome's, who were, polytheistic, they have so many gods, they were not monotheistic. The stupid religion are the most stupid are monotheistic, of course, right? Like Islam is the most stupid one after Catholicism, after the Christianity, right? So old Romans let Christianite gods from the north and the Huns invade their country or settle there and start to practice Christianity in polytheistic Rome. What does it remind you? Well, you go to Belgium, in 20 years it will be Belgistan. There is 50% of Muslims. What does it remind you, my friend? Should I go on? Should I go on? Maybe in US they don't have such a big problem with this factor because it's still Catholic place. But I would say that they practice Catholicism, as Nietzsche says, they replace Catholicism by science. And when you replace God, that's the most famous, quote by Friedrich Nietzsche: God is dead. Yeah, they start. Yeah, because when you replace the God by science and you start to pray to science, then eventually the science will expire as a God. And then, Nietzsche says, will come such a wave of nihilism and shitstorm. I translated for your YouTube impotent fucking video. Nietzsche says it will be shitstorm, There will be such a wave of nihilism and incredible, pandemonium, eschatological moods when the science will be exhausted, which is now happening. The gadgets are so useless, they're so toxic, the fucking internet every day. It stopped working, it's not productive, people have no sense of life. Because 200 years ago, what did you do? You wake up, you went to the church, you hear the organs, listen, then you pray, then you went to field, you work, you did something, then you came home, you fuck your wife, you have to take care of your kids, things like that. And you were a normal citizen. Then there were classes, there was a lowest class, there were serfdoms, 90% of people, there were human trash. And then there was a class of soldiers, then, right, military groups, police. Then there was above them there was a class of judicial system, judicial system, was lawyers, judges, etc. Then the above class was it was a church who defined moral and aesthetical and spiritual paradigm of the times. So the church told you cannot wear this clothes, you cannot invoke Satan in your heart. For the idiots, we know there is another meaning than 19th century. But I will not talk about this. A lot of idiot think this is the 19th century symbol, but I have no time to explain you what this meant all times before, So you were invoking you have the moral aesthetic paradigm of the God, of the church, and church was telling you what is allowed, what is not. Okay, you trying some witchcrafting, you telling us that you telling us in 17th, 18th century that you can treat. They believe that in medicine in all times they believe that they if let get away 1 liter of blood from your veins, they injected your veins and they let the blood pour like 20% of the blood out of your body. They do believe that this incredible procedure, this oldish retarded procedure will help you, for example, fight the plague or infection. So when somebody died by plague, they let him get the blood 1 liter out, and they even weaken him. And the doctors 300, 400 years ago, they believed that this will help patient. And if you were a smart person and you bring some herbs to somebody, some uninflammatory herbs, which I can now recall, which they believe the garlic has inflammatory effects, these idiots. That's why they were sniffing during the black pandemics, idiots. But I'm sure there are some herbs which has really inflammatory effects. And if you brought them to the patient, you mash them, then church says, what medicine did you use? You didn't sniff garlic to heal yourself from plague, or you didn't let your blood get away? You use some witchcrafting things? Then they put this doctor, they consider him witch, and they put him on the fire and they set him in the fire. Because the church was saying what is good or right. You know what kind of a fucking class represents the church now? Well, it's a TV, sweetheart. TV and interactive media, Facebook, right? And social networks and TV now, radio, TV and news telling you what is good or bad, what is right and wrong. And you listening to them, yeah? And you cannot do other things than in TV they telling you, yeah? So that's the church layer of the class, of the society. Above the church, there is something like a royal court. So when you were at the royal court, you were allowed to go to the palace of the emperor or the king. And you could stay there, you could live there, you could listen to music like a king, you could eat the food like a king, you can meet the people who king talked to, and you could enjoy some rights, some limited rights, and some privileges of the emperor king. Not all, but many of them. And you could use his privileges, but not all of them. You could share some privileges with him. And then finally, there was the highest class of all, and it was the emperor or king. Well, who are the nowadays emperors and kings? Well, it's billionaires, right? Not 100 millionaires or millionaires, billionaires. Billionaires are nowadays emperors. It's Elon Musk, it's Zuckerberg. Who is the royal court using some limited privileges of these billionaires, and who are the people on the royal court who doing as the king and emperor wish? That's a politicians, of course, right? Biden, who is pimping who? Biden is pimped by Zuckerberg, right? So Emperor Zuckerberg says to Biden, throw the bones to Zuckerberg. Zuckerberg throw the bones to Biden and Harris from the table and say, eat that shit and do me this, compose me this music and get out of me and collect the taxes for me. So politicians are just the puppets of the emperors, of billionaires. So royal court, yeah. TV, we said this is church. What kind of music you listen, when you have sexual intercourse, after you get married, what medicine. TV tells you what is wrong and right. Cooper Anderson and these other cunts on CNN telling you what is right or wrong. These cunts have a moral rule and they know what is the best in the world for you, and they will so gladly and kindly tell you. Or this cunt Chris Cuomo, who was on CNN and get fired. These cunts from CNN and TV folks, they are saying like this cunt Hannity or this cunt Carlson Tucker, this cunt who was fired. These cunts from TV will tell you, in case of TV folks, this is wrong and this is right. And the other cunt, now we have two churches fighting together. We cannot go into it. Like John Huss, this great reformator, 1415, he was burned by Swiss consul because he said that the Protestant, we have no Martin Luther King, we have no time to go into the two churches, but later there were two churches. But let's go back in times when the church is a mass media. Then you have a judicial system, okay? Well, the judicial system is like, didn't change too much like from now. Corruption, lawyers and bankers, and the ethic is a minimum of the law. That's the first lesson they give you in Harvard to lawyers. Think it over. The law is minimum of ethic. Minimum ethic is law. So this judicial system, lawyers, procurators, these people, right? Like we could see that Trump was, you know, he was like tried to be impeached or put into the prison by this prosecutor, politically ordered. So you can see that the same system is. So if you were not a member of judicial system, or member of the church, or member of the lower court, or if you were not emperor, then you have only one more option beneath the lowest, beneath the riffraffs, beneath the people like you and me, 90% serfdoms. And it was the army or the soldiers, you know, caste, like in India call it the class. So it was people who are policemen, you know, some kind of military services, U.S. Army, European Army. That's the people who work in this army sector, right? And beneath it, the last class, welcome to the 21st century. That's people like me, you know, who just say what the soldiers, church, and judicial system and royal court and emperors do. You see, so you can see nothing have changed since serfdom times, old slave times, or some new age, or some capitalism which was invented 300 years ago, this late capitalism turning back again into the technical feudalism, you know, because historicism and history, all you need to know to do right is that people, Elon Musk and these cunts, would read the Nietzsche today. And Nietzsche described everything, you see. He predicted 150 years ago by this beautiful metaphor when he's writing, a fool is running on the agora. Agora is the expression, it means market in all times, in ancient Greek times. Fool is running on the agora with the lucerne, which is light up in a right noon, in bright daylight, when there is a sun shining from the blue sky, and the fool is running around the market, around the agora with a lucerne, and shouting, "Save yourself, it's the end of the world, the darkness is here." I can see darkness, Nietzsche describing this beautiful part, right? I can see the darkness, and people pointing fingers at the fool and saying, "He is crazy, yeah, look at the sun, daylight, there is no darkness," and the fool going on. So for the ones who knows Nietzsche, they enjoy this, right? So we can see that this guy totally predicted what's happening. Because you're running on the daylight and with your flashlight, it's great. It's a darkness. The huge darkness is coming. This guy already knew it, the nihilism, as a sunset of gods. That's the sunset of our fucking civilization. You see, isn't it pretty exciting? And some people think that is great, right? So, you know, there is a difference between being self-destructive and destructive, and, you know, addicted, but you don't want to go in Carl Gustav and stuff like that. Yeah, so you can have some pleasure from self-destruction, but you know, self-damaging is not a and we don't want to. So there were these layers, but I didn't forget. I only fifth last factor or maxim or thing which we share with the old Romans, nowadays Euro-American civilization. Well, after the crazy immigration which get out of the order, and the different religions, the bureaucracy, and puppeteered politicians, and what was the fourth one? And the economical, dependency on the slaves. The fifth one I would name. There are more of them, but I will just tell you only 5. Surely there are more of them. The fifth one I would pick, for example, the orgies, right? The moral decay of modern times, where people taking fentanyl and fucking some opium, fentanyl, fucking, fucking digital cesspools, fucking like animals on Tinder or Dindra or Vindra or whatever it is, spreading HIV like fucking animals, fucking in the streets like a fucking, like the Romans did when here comes the orgies after they start to drink the wine, which was not mixed with the water. They drink so much wine, they put the hashish, marijuana, and then the orgy started. So what does it remind you? The moral decay or the moral meltdown of civilization, these orgies, parties, drugs. There are no classic drugs like cocaine or heroin or morphine from times of Wagner or Nietzsche. No, of Sigmund Freud. Nowadays drugs is a fentanyl, is some MDMA, some fucking garbage, mountains of some fucking snow, of cut or punch with some other fucking poison. They shoveling it, these animals, in their vein, noses or asses or wherever they shoveling it. It's a world chaos, moral chaos and decay of animals, you see. So these 5, similar things, dependency on the slaves, of the labor, different religious groups, bureaucracy, weak politicians, and orgies. We are pretty similar to old Rome, and we know what happened to old Rome. Romulus, on the end, opened the gates of the Rome, give the slaves rights to vote, and he dismissed the army, and he let the other civilization and Christians pour in, and there is nothing than old Rome. Now old Rome is in museum. 500 years from now, people will look at this apartment, which will be in the museum, at these fucking stupid people with their iPhones. Hey, look, they have these clay pads and iPhones, they believe it works, and smartphones, stupid people, they have artificial intelligence. That's how the civilization will look at us, and then on the end they just fuck, and GPS doesn't work and nothing works. That's how they will look at us. We going away, we ceasing to exist. And I would call it, I would end it with the beautiful quote of Henry Miller, this great American writer who relocated to Paris in 1920s, and I have an honor to read his book. In his book, which were published in English language in Paris, the first language which they were translated in 1937, I think, was Czech language, my mother tongue, and I read the book, the Line of the Capricorn, I think it was called, right? And Henry Miller, okay, and this was really great book. And in this book, the end of this book, when he's looking at the river Seine, and he's saying everything is floating, everything, the life is a movement. It's like a water in the Seine, it's like a lava getting out of the volcanoes, it's like a clouds on the sky, it's like a blood in our veins, it's like a sperm, it's like everything is moving and moving and moving. The life is big movement, and sometimes it's going through civilization, and sometimes it's going through the big, balanced times where the civilization is prospering, flourishing and booming, and sometimes it just erupt, like end of the old Rome, Greece, Sumeria, end of this stupid civilization which is volcanically, but then the movement keep going. So don't worry about this, because who's give a fuck about some Christian, stupid, retarded, arrogant civilization in this world? There are other civilizations from third world. There are Muslims, there are different religions which are white people are 5% on the planet. We are 5% on the planet, sweetheart. You see? So other civilizations are interested on us, on this stupid planet, little one, somewhere in the corner of one of the galaxy of 1,000 galaxies, solar system galaxy, stupid, which is in the corner of other million galaxies. You know, this stupid, retarded Christian Euro-American civilization is a little fucking miniature 1 centimeter square shit in the ass of this planet, and this planet has in the ass of the ass of the planet this little civilization, like this planet is the little miniature matryoshka system centimeter shit in the ass of the thousands of civilizations which were here for 1,100 years before us, and these civilizations 100,000 years, this Earth planet is in the ass of the whole solar system galaxy, you know, which is nothing. This solar whole system galaxy from Mercury to fucking Pluto is just nothing than a little square fucking centimeter shit in the fucking ass of the other galaxies and etc, etc. So don't worry, nobody's give a shit about. I do believe we live in simulation, which is running on some incredibly stupid, correlated, old-fashioned quantum computer of some sadist who is playing us, because there are two, according to Nick Bostrom, this great philosopher from Oxford institution, who had to close his institution because they find in his mail N-word. So, you know, old Rome, this one of the smartest guy, like Nick Bostrom guy, the Swedish, and anyway, he changed his name, so it's Americanized. I think it was not Bostrom, he changed it like the pronunciation, right? So he's writing about artificial intelligence, and he's writing about this, that we probably live in simulation, right? And we are simulated either, that's the last thing which I tell you, we are either simulated for purposes that somebody teaching, that somebody is using us like exempla trahum in Latin, like examples, and they want to learn from our mistakes. It's for purposes of learning and educating. They simulating us, or they simulating us for fun. I think that I tend more into the theory. I lean towards the theory that we are just simulated by sick fuck idiot or some very mean motherfucker who is playing with these idiots. You see, and the purpose of the simulation, or the way how we can escape ourselves from the civilization, is that we can escape ourselves. We realize we live in simulation. Like in this great film, what was the name of the film? By Truman Show. It was a great film. So maybe we realize that we in civilization, and one day we will escape ourselves from the civilization. And it would explain why the world life, like an entity life, is rigged. Your entities. Life is a rigged entity, and it's not fair. Can you believe it? And 10 out of 10 participants, you know, or objects, you know, they finish the game by death. But I think just like the free market is rigged and it's not free, then a capitalistic system which is totally dying, little concept, 300 years. That's why some people don't realize why the world doesn't work, because they have memory only 300 years. They are so stupid. They even don't, we are so egocentric and stupid. We never could imagine there was something before us. We even don't respect our fathers and mothers. So how the fuck we can respect and learn from the history and realize that world is in a crossroad of economical challenging times because capitalism doesn't work? How we can learn something if we have such a short, stupid memory? We don't have a memory, and definition of intelligence is the ability to learn. Definition of stupidity is do the same things again, all around and expect different results. So you judge if you are stupid or intelligent according to two definitions. And I would close this talk with this, knowledge that we probably are some simulation, but you don't need to really worry, because the knowledge, scientia potentia est, you have to zoom out. The knowledge is the power. Remember, in the life, zoom out and look at the things with balance, like all Greek says, and look at from the theory of the game on the life and everything, like not involve participants, and everything suddenly start to make sense. Cheers in vino veritas, vanitas vanitatum, homo homini lupus, meine liebe friend. That's the time we live in.